today, the last video for the time being on the turbo bike. I've done everything I can possibly do at the moment. I still want to paint the wheels, paint the chain guard, paint the foot peg hangers, and do a few other jobs on it, but I'm going to do that over the winter because I want to ride it. We're rolling out a season very quickly and I don't want to miss any more of the reasonably dry-ish weather. So today I'm just going to put it all back together, get it all plumbed up, get the fuel back in it, get it running so that it's ready to ride, and then I'm going to take it on Tuesday, Saturday now at the time of recording, I'm going to take it on Tuesday over to the dyno. We're going to do a rolling road health check. Now all that means is strap it down to the dyno, roll it up and make sure it's running as it should be. It's running rich enough, it's not going to burn anything, and everything's firing correctly, and it's all making the right ignition and everything else. So they're going to do a full health check on it, make sure it's all safe, because that's what it's all about. And forced induction bikes, if something's out of killick, something's not working right, it can do damage, and I don't want that happening because it's a big investment, and I want to make sure that it's safe, because going forward, it may be a keeper, it may not. A few of you have asked, I'm going to sell this now. Well, I don't know, really, don't have any plans to sell it at the moment, but I'm going to need to sell it to fund the next project, so I imagine I probably will, but not yet. I want to run it for a bit, I want to enjoy it, and enjoy a little bit of the paintwork. You know, this is going to be, probably in my view, this is the best paintwork I've ever had on a bike I've owned. I can't say it's the best paintwork I've ever done, because the best part of it is the artwork, which is accredited to my mate Mackie, as you saw, but the finish and getting that gloss finish on it, I've probably not got it that good so far in all the paintwork I've ever done. I really haven't. That's something I'm very, very proud of, and I really like that. I want to get it out and show it off, simple as that. So today all I'm going to do is put it all back together, make sure it's all safe, fire it up, and then I'll cut the video here, and then I'll pick up the last little bit of recording for the dyno run on Tuesday. So this is Wednesday at the time of you watching. Hope you enjoy the video. Let's get stuck in.
Make excuses for things I've said.
think that's running plenty rich enough because my eyes are still watering 10 minutes later. God, dear. You know, you get used to fuel injected bikes which don't emit any carbon or poisons and so on, but you get a carburetted bike, you run it in the garage for 5 minutes and you're choking. That is absolutely rich enough. I reckon the plugs were just the right colour, like a brown sort of mud colour, like a light chocolate brown. That's perfect for a turbo bike, not running lean or anything. And that fired up quicker, more eagerly and more instantly from bone dry. That had been started now for about 3-4 weeks since I started to paint. So go back to the first paint video where I lifted the tank off. That's the last time it was started up. Turn the key on, let the pump purge, boom, fired straight up. So could be the HT leads that helped that, could be the fact that I've just sorted everything out, cleaned a lot of stuff up, checked all the plugs. One of the plugs was a little bit wide, so just re-gap them, make sure they're all correct. Now I've got to run it over to the dyno. This is Saturday, as I said at the time of filming this, so I won't be doing it right this minute. I'm going to run this down the road, get some fuel in it and so on, and the next thing you'll see in the next scene will be this running into the dyno. I don't know how much of it they're going to let me film. If nothing else, at least I'll get it on the rollers, making its power curve, and I'll show you that at the end. So wish me luck. I'm hoping for 180, that would be nice. If I can get 180 brake horsepower, that's a great deal of power for a very old bike that hasn't done a lot of miles but hasn't been used in something like 16, 17 years. So fingers crossed, wish me luck. Let's get it to the dyno. Okay, right, back from the dyno now, quick as I can with this. Right, I've got three things really, a little bit of disappointment, a big revelation, something I didn't know, which I found out, and now I'm satisfied with. So, the disappointment was the power figure. Way back in the day, this made 183 horsepower. Oh yes, it did, it's all on there. And the carburation setup that it had at the time is all recorded on here as well. So that's good, happy with that. Today though, it didn't make 183. The disappointment was it only made 131. 52 horsepower less. That's incredibly low. That's a big drop. Now I said to the guys, is there anything wrong with it? Why is it making 183 1 minute? Well, not 1 minute, 17 years ago. But now it's only making 52 horsepower less, 131. And they said, well, there's no reason to think that is anything wrong with that. Look at it. There's the torque and power curve. There's the brake horsepower crossed over with the torque. It's a big, long, smooth, flat line. Now, muscle bikes are often given their name because they feel muscular. They've got this big, flat torque curve that just keeps pulling and pulling and pulling. They feel powerful and muscular. They don't have a peaky delivery like a sports bike. And then when you put a turbocharger on them, normally you get that curve, but a big peak at the end. But on this bike, they haven't got that. So we started doing some digging, and we started looking through the history. I had it all with me. And the guys are going through the paperwork. And one of them pulled this out and said, hang on, look, because I've got an inch thick wad of fat folder full of paper with this, and this is one of them. This receipt is from a company 6 years after it was built, so in 2006. And it says on here two things that are very interesting. And he said, there's your Huckleberry, that's what's happened. This bike's been detuned deliberately. They've gone from 120 main jets up to 130, and they've set the fuel-air ratio set to 11.5 to 1 for safety due to stock ignition and compression, as it says in there. So what that means, and we've checked it and it's the same today, there is the fuel graph at the bottom, and the fuel graph is running low at 11.5. So it says on there 6 years ago, or 2006, that was set to 11.5 to 1, and today's readout is reading the fuel mixture at 11.5 to 1, so it's still correct. Now what that means is the bike was deliberately detuned to drop 50 odd horsepower off it. Not to drop that horsepower, you don't do it for that reason, you do it to make it safe. As it says on this piece of paper here, on this invoice, it says it was set to 11.5 to 1 for safety due to stock ignition and stock compression, because the bike hasn't got any preparation, the engine is not prepared for the extra boost of a turbo. It's being expected to take it and tolerate it in standard form. So you don't want to put too much boost through it. And something else that's relevant as well is this came with some dyno graphs, and the boost pressure is set on these. On the original, it was running at 6 psi of boost. It's now running 4. There it is, I can't bother finding it now, but it's set to 4 psi of boost. So they dropped 2 psi off the boost, put bigger main jets in so it runs richer, and detuned it deliberately to make it safe, rideable and fun. And that's the main point of this. Put all that over there. The main point is, now this bike has got the kind of power delivery that a normally aspirated engine has. If you look at that power curve, there's nothing peaky about it at all. That's the torque curve underneath it. When you look at a normal, let's see if I can find one. This is one of the original, there you go. Right, that's one of the original power readings, where you see the torque is the blue line and the brake horsepower is the green line. So you see that the torque goes along flat and the power goes right up, and they stay wide apart. So you need a revvy engine in order to make power. But look at that. They stay together nearly the whole way along. So what that produces is fat, torquey power right across the rev range. And he said the only time you normally see that is on an engine that's had big fat pistons put in it. So you take the 1200 pistons out and you put 1400 Gorilla Block on it or something, big 1396 pistons or something. That's the kind of torque graph you get, big fat power all the way along. That's what big pistons do, they give you torque. That's the grunt side of things. But for a turbo to run like that, he said that has been very cleverly set up. He said it would have been a case of setting the carbs up, the right needle heights, and that's a lot of work, and duly it was. The labour bill alone on this was £600. The parts were 174, not much money. Total bill with that was 963 quid. So the guy spent a lot of money having this bike deliberately detuned to be a big, fat, torquey road bike, and I love that. That has made me immensely happy. So there's the third point. The revelation that I've lost a lot of power, 52 horsepower, the disappointment in that, it's all acceptable to know that what I've ended up with is a bike that I didn't know was so well set up to be a road bike. It's not a race bike, because one of the guys said there, if you put this on a drag strip, don't be disappointed if it fails to make its way under the 11s. That'll be like an 11.5 second bike at the best. Maybe you might not even get in the 11s, because 12, 12.1, That's still a fast bike. That's like any 1 litre engine. But so the point is, it's not set up to have that rush at the end. Looking at the graph, at 110 miles an hour, the power starts to tail off. And if you're on a drag strip, you know yourself, the power's all at the end. It's that rush to get through the finishing line. So that's not going to be a race bike. That's set up to be a road bike. And that's 99.99% of what I'm going to do with it. I might run it up to a drag strip that's not too far away, take a bit of fun on it, but only to let it go safely, let it off the lead in a safe and legal place. You can't do it on the road. And there's the other point. All these bikes that claim 200 horsepower, have a look at a power graph on them. That power is all at the end, in a big boost at the end of the revs, and you're never going to use it because you don't ride it that fast. If you look at the speed it's doing at its peak brake horsepower, it's 180 mile an hour, and you can't ride bikes at that speed on the road. You just can't. It's not safe and it's not legal anywhere. So there's the main point. This bike at 75 miles an hour is making 125 brake at 75 mile an hour, which is kind of motorway overtaking speed. So to me, that has been very, very cleverly tuned and set up, and I'm very chuffed with that indeed. So that little project's going to roll to a close for now. I'm going to come back to the turbo bike in the future. I want to paint the wheels and some of the silver stuff. And yes, I know it's a blue air filter. I know. I kind of thought it might go with the blue pearl, but it's a bit kind of Fisher-Price blue. I don't know. The Sumoto filter is a lovely filter for breathing. I'm going to leave it at that for now. I may change it in the future. I don't know. So don't knock me on that too much. All right. So I'll come back to the turbo, do some more stuff in the future. The Street Fighter bike is now going to be back up next. I think it's been about 5-6 weeks since I did anything to that, and I'm really looking forward to getting back into some fabrication. But like I said, I can't do fabrication, grinding and welding when I've got vulnerable paintwork in here. Now I can put it outside with a cover over it. I can do what I like in here. So that's going to be back up next after the weekend's video, which will be our fantastic adventure up at Sealy headquarters. So join us for that. There we are. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. Ride safe. See you next time. 130.